Hello, welcome back to Recap Zone. Today I will discuss the storyline of the movie with the title, Lion. In 1986, there was a child active and helpful, he was Saru. He often followed his older brother, Gudu Khan, to look for coal in passing coal-carrying carts, then sell it to collectors for a little money. That day after stealing coal, Saru said to his brother that he wanted jalbi, a cake that was deep-fried and reddish in color. Gudu cannot buy the cake for his brother because he has no money. He can only say that one day he will buy the cake for his brother in large quantities. Every afternoon, Saru's mother would go to work hauling stones in the mines with several other women who worked like her. Every time she went to work, Saru's mother would assign Gudu and Saru for taking care of their sister, Shekila. When it got dark, Gudu decided to go find some extra money. Saru insists on going with his brother, but Gudu forbids him. Gudu asks Saru to stay at home while taking care of Shekila. However, Saru refuses, he still insists on going with Gudu. After arguing, Saru finally went with Gudu to a station and boarded one of the trains. Gudu starts his work, he checks every bottom of the bench and hopes to find some valuable thing or some rupees money. For them, whatever the value of the money they get is very valuable. Gudu continues his search, but as Saru begins to fall asleep, Gudu is forced to leave him on the station bench. Gudu promises to come back soon after his work is done. However, until the station was quiet and closed, Gudu had not returned. Saru woke up from sleep, immediately looked for his brother. Saru started to board one of the trains to look for his brother, but unfortunately he fell asleep again in the train. Upon awakening, Saru realized that the train had taken him far away from his hometown, Khandwa. He panicked and screamed for help, but no one heard and helped him. For 2 days Saru was in the carriage of the train. Now Saru has arrived in Calcutta, West Bengal. It is 1,600 kilometers east of Khandwa. The train stopped at that place, and Saru was only able to get off the train. He shouts Gudu and his mother's names in the crowd, but no one pays any heed. Everyone is busy with their own activities and affairs. No one stopped even though Saru kept begging and begging for someone to take him home to a place he called Ganesh Tale. No one knows where it is and no one understands the Saru language. Everyone in Calcutta speaks Bengali, while Saru speaks Hindi. Saru was getting tired of looking for a way to get home. He later became a tramp in Calcutta. Move from one place to another. Face danger many times. And keep trying to survive. One day, Saru meets someone named Noor. A friendly lady can also speak Hindi as well as Saru. Noor looks very good. She took Saru to her place and took great care of Saru. For a moment Saru felt happy because finally someone wanted to help him. Noor says she wants to introduce Saru to Rama, a nice guy will help Saru get home. However, as soon as he met Rama, there was a bad feeling that enveloped Saru's feelings. He was worried and scared. Saru seems to know that he will be sold. Saru then runs away from Noor's place. Saru ran as fast as he could even without aim. His steps took Saru somewhere. He imagined running towards his mother. He recalled his memories with his mother when he came to help his mother lift the stone. It's been 2 months since Saru got lost. He still lives a homeless life in Calcutta. Mingle with scavengers and other homeless people. Until one day a man is now really nice, brings Saru to the police station, so the police can help Saru to find his mother and bring his home. Unfortunately, the information that Saru has is not enough. Apart from not knowing where he came from, Saru also never knew his mother's name. The police finally put Saru's photo in the newspaper to find his family. The police thought that Saru was from Calcutta, and only carried news about Saru in the Calcutta newspapers. After that, Saru was taken to a special social institution for children. In that place there are hundreds of children living without parents. Saru only knows a girl named Amita and he sometimes talks to. Saru begins to take part in learning activities at that place, and begins to learn that there are children with special conditions like to hurt themselves. Saru looked at the boy with strange feelings and pity. He was afraid that he would suffer the same fate. The next day, a woman named Mrs. Sood went to see Saru and said that Saru would have a new family in Australia. Saru was adopted by a married couple named Sue and John. They have a nice house in Tasmania, Australia. Saru has no other choice, he can't refuse it. Saru then told Amita about the adoption plan, and Amita supported the plan. Amita is sure that Saru will have a much better life in Australia with his new family. Saru begins his preparations to move to Australia. Mrs. Sood taught Saru with the other children basic English and how to eat. Saru looks quite enthusiastic and happy. A few days later, Saru was ready to fly to Australia with Swarmina, a woman assigned by Mrs. Sood to escort Saru to meet his new family. That day, in 1987, for the first time in Saru's life, he set foot in Hobart, Australia. The line of fate took Saru far apart from his homeland. It is not an easy thing for Saru to adapt to a new place and culture. But he still tried to accept what he had already lived. Saru's presence in John and Sue's life really brings happiness to them. Saru is a kind, obedient and cheerful child. They have lived together for a year full of happiness. Until John and Sue decided to adopt another child from India. They adopt Mantosh, a boy whose emotions are out of control and often self-harm. Saru felt sorry for Sue, he could not bear to see his adoptive mother sad. Saru tried to comfort and hugged Sue to calm down. 20 years have passed since Mantosh's arrival. Saru grew up to be a handsome and successful man. He will soon continue his education in Melbourne to pursue hotel management. Mantosh is not like Saru. He is messy and chaotic, causing a lot of trouble in his family, and often made his adoptive mother cry because of his actions. Actually, Saru was very worried about his mother's condition if he went to Melbourne. But Mantosh had promised that he would not return home unless there was something important and urgent. In 2008, Saru went to Melbourne for a new chapter in his life. He attends lectures and meets a girl named Lucy as now his lover. Saru also meets new friends from India. While having a party with friends from India, Saru sees jalebi cake, a cake that reminds him of Gudu, his brother. Immediately Saru felt sad because he missed his family in India. At that time his friends helped Saru to remember his old house and the way to get there. They also advised Saru to use Google Earth, which can show any place anywhere in the world. At first Saru didn't want to do that quest. But the more he resisted his heart's desire, the more intense the image of his mother and brother grew. Saru seemed to have no other choice but to do a search. He opened Google Earth, started his search from there and estimated the distance the train he used to take to reach Calcutta. Saru replayed every memory of his childhood in his head. He then pinned them one by one to the wall, hoping to find his way home. 2 years have passed since Saru started his search, but unfortunately no one has been able to find Saru. The image of his mother and brother kept on boggling his mind. Saru could never again be calm in living his life. His temper is easily ignited, and in the end he wreaks havoc at his adoptive parents' house by his fight with Lucy, and triggers Mantosh to hurt himself. After that incident, Saru could no longer control his mind between the past and the present, until he finally decided to part with Lucy. His adoptive mother is sick of seeing Saru and Mantosh keep fighting, moreover Saru looks like he is hiding something. Saru hides the search for his family from Sue and John. Now Saru's life is very messy. He spent all his time searching for a possible way home, and tried to remember every direction that is still stored in his memory. Saru even left his job for his search. Sometimes he seemed to hear the voice of his mother or brother calling his name. Sometimes he also seems to see his mother or brother walking near him. His dedication to this search made Saru forget to tell John and Sue. To make his adoptive parents worried, Saru still can't meet his adoptive parents despite John's request. He didn't dare to show his confused face from being haunted by his past. Many pieces of memory in Saru's head reappeared, including the memory of the wound on his head as a result of being hit by a motorbike on the street after buying a watermelon. The scar on his temple. He remembers how the wound made his brother scolded by their mother for not taking good care of Saru. After Saru reunited with Lucy, he only had the courage to meet his sick adoptive mother. Saru regrets his actions and in the end he learns the fact that his adoptive mother is actually not barren. Sue made the decision to adopt Saru and Mantosh because it was her and John's choice. For them, the world already has so many people and they feel there is no need to add to it, if they can take less fortunate children to care for, and make their lives better. After learning that fact, Saru regretted his actions. He apologized to Sue and Montosh. As soon as he arrived at his house, Saru felt hopeless about the search he had undertaken. He removed all the papers stuck to the board and kicked some objects in annoyance. His hand roamed Google Earth randomly, then moved away from the calculated distance. And that's when he found what he had been looking for. Area near his house. He remembered the area as an area he had visited with Gudu. The area was close to the train station, where he had been with Gudu the last time. Saru couldn't believe what he had found. The map he saw again made Saru remember all the details of his past. He finally remembered the way back home. His eyes filled with tears, then his tears fell when he found his village. The village he had been calling Ganesh Tale, all along turned out to be Ganesh Tale. Saru finds his home, his childhood home. He was really very happy at that moment and immediately ran to meet Lucy, to tell him what he had found. Saru plans to return to India to meet his biological mother. He also explained to Sue and John about his return plan. And the plan was supported by his adoptive parents with great emotion. Saru only realized his plan in 2012. He left for Khandwa, India. When Saru arrived at his village, he saw that many things had changed. Saru relies on his memory to guide his footsteps towards his childhood home. But unfortunately once Saru got there, he saw that the house he once lived in was empty, and turned into a goat pen. Despair had hit his heart, until an old man asked Saru to follow him. The old man brought Saru to his biological mother was old and her hair was almost all white. Tears broke out at that place. Saru is really happy to be back at his birth mother, has been looking and waiting for Saru to return. When Saru inquired about Gudu, he had to swallow the harsh reality. Because it turns out that Gudu has died, only his mother and sister, Shekila, are left. Saru's return was warmly welcomed by the happy villagers. This news also reached John and Sue. They were happy for what Saru had found. It is known that Gudu died the same night Saru disappeared. He was hit by a train at a location not far from where Saru was sleeping. Saru also just found out that he had been mispronouncing his name all this time. His real name is Sheru, which means lion. Explanation. A touching ending to the story of Sherman Khan. He had known his name as Saru. Many inspirations are given through books and movies about the life journey of Sherman Khan, which is full of twists and turns. In the Lion movie, we will be made to understand about struggle, gratitude, and kindness that knows no background. We will also be invited to see the lives of street children in India are vulnerable to crime and violence. The sad fact is that there are around 80,000 children in India disappear every year. No one cares about them and sees that their presence is only to be used to do things that are not good. The Lion movie also contains hope to make the world a better place for disadvantaged children. We'll see it in John and Sue Brierley. They chose not to have children and decided to adopt Saru and Montosh. They have a noble goal to give less fortunate children a chance in their upbringing to have a better life. John and Sue are a small part of humanity want to save disadvantaged children from exploitation and suffocating circumstances. That was the storyline of the movie, Lion. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.